Awesome. All right. Well, let's get started then. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Health Made Simple show. I am here with our host, Dr. Bart Precourt, who is a healthcare practitioner, who has been a healthcare practitioner for over 20 years, practicing a range of modalities, including chiropractic, acupuncture, kinesiology, functional nutrition and supplementation, and lab testing, all out of his clinic, Balance Health Studio in Seagrove Beach, Florida, as well as virtually all around the world. He is also the founder of the Health Edge program, which is a cutting edge health program for entrepreneurs and executives wanting to take their health to the next level. So he's worked with celebrities and athletes all around the world, and is going to share his top biohacks with us tonight. So I'm excited for that. But as always, let's start with your clinical insights. We love to hear what has been going on in the trenches this week.
Yeah, before I get to that, and I'll get to that real quickly here. You mentioned the Health Edge program. So that's when I work. That's when I work. One-on-one. Someone literally hires me as essentially their personal coach.
Wow.
Yeah, and in that, one of the things we do, we focus on a lot of these biohacking type strategies, which is this is some like behind the scenes stuff, which is really great. So if people are ever wondering what's going on in that, like in a program like that, this is part of it. And then we also do some really cool testing, like we test the telomeres and stuff like that tell us our biological age, never mind our chronological. So just a quick side note. All right, so my clinical insight today really kind of ties into this to some degree. Talk about the foundation. So young female in my office, just in her early 30s, mother, and they recently moved to the area. And one of her challenges that she experiences pretty high level types of anxiety.
Okay.
In this situation, that it is always the trigger is always known.
Okay.
Okay. So then that's not the case for everybody. So that would be wonderful if it was.
Yeah.
But this situation, she knows certain events take place. There's certain travel that takes place involved with this, some circumstances around the house, and they're predictable because they happen and almost like a routine. They're kind of scheduled with things that the family does. So with that being said, and they're like these, anyone who's out there, there's two parts I want to share about this. One's not awesome, but I'm going to share it anyways. Anyone who's had anxiety out there knows that in that moment, and especially if it kind of spirals, it can get pretty gnarly. And
it's hard to get out of the spiral once you're in it.
Exactly, Karen. And the not so good part of this is that her husband doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
Can't understand why she doesn't snap herself out of it.
Yeah.
Listen, I get it. I understand why.
Super common.
Yeah. I understand for the individual who doesn't have anxiety, who's never experienced it, or depression, can't fathom to literally comprehend what that individual is going through. But what they don't understand is the biochemistry, that once their mind goes in a certain direction, their chemistry follows it. And that is an important part. So if you know anyone that experiences, anxiety, or you're listening to this and you have yourself, remember, it's two parts. It is your mind, but it's also your biochemistry.
Yeah.
And in the moment that you're having it, it's almost too late to try to get your mind to do it, to fix it. Because the biochemistry, the way the dopamine is shut off, and just different things that are taking place, your stress hormones are ramping up, you get vasoconstriction, a lot of these different things that are taking place. Anyways, so this clinical insight is that we have walked down this road before, and I've made some suggestions, and she wasn't in the moment. It was more about her just sharing that these things were taking place. And I always give people their time and their space for when they're also looking for suggestions. And in the beginning, she wasn't. And then we just been kind of creeping upon it. Well, today we crept upon the time where finally she was open to suggestions. And the ones I made subtly before. And listen, when it comes to anxiety, we have two phenomenal tools. One is Kava, one is Ashwagandha. I hang my hat on these last 2 years. They have changed lives, period. Those two tools are some of the most effective and efficient, fast-acting herbs that are out there for anxiety. It is something that I encourage everyone to go see your practitioner, whoever it may be. If I can help you, I'd love to. But here's the thing about those, Karen. We still have to practice with our tools. So I'm going to give you my baseball analogy because I love sports. let's just say that you are, all you ever wanted to do is be, in Yankee Stadium in the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, the bases are loaded. You want to be up at the plate so you could hit that magical home run and, 70,000 fans go crazy.
What I've always wanted.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying, right? So that, isn't that everyone's dream?
Yeah.
So it would be kind of pointless to know that moment is coming, because in that moment you can kind of like be a hero or a failure, kind of, right? You could strike out and have to walk your butt back to the dugout. Yeah, if you know you're going to be in that environment, in that situation, and you have a baseball bat at home, you better practice with the baseball bat. If the first time you use it is in the moment of the heat, you got no chance. Yeah. I don't care your talents. I don't care how wise you are. I don't care how much you knew about the opposing team, which may be in this scenario, anxiety, all of those situations. If you haven't practiced with your tools, you got no shot at it. Yeah. So my conversation, this is for everyone that's listening tonight or going to, hear this in a recording, that we have to practice health. That's a huge part of it. And our mindset, huge, like having, and breathing techniques, huge, using kava. So this is what I suggested for. I said, have you ever, I know that I suggested it before about using kava and ashwagandha. I said, have you taken them yet? She said, no, I was going to wait until I had a moment. I said, no, you can't wait until you're at the plate. We have to practice these things prior. So, these tools like kava and ashwagandha, and I'm talking specifically today, this applies to everything, quite frankly, in life. But with anxiety, one of the big challenges that once you start to have that feeling, it's the fear of the future, fear of the unknown, that really drives it to that whole nother level. What I call, we're headed to the ER type, and that's for a lot of people, because it feels like you're going to have a heart attack, et cetera. So in these situations, the huge benefit of practicing is then you start to develop confidence, is what in the midst of anxiety is what people lack. They lack, I know I can get through this. I know there's something I can do. And it's that simple. I see it so effective so many times clinically. So if you're listening to this, kava, and yes, if you Google it, you'll see some things that'll say, well, kava's tough on the liver. Listen, none of that applies. We use a water-based kava. It's absolutely fantastic. There's no side effects from it. Of course, get with your practitioner and find out the dosing you should use. But you got to practice with your tools. The other one is ashwagandha. I use a company out of Australia called MediHerb, and they have a form called ashwagandha forte. And literally I used it last night with my dog. So I'll use kava and ashwagandha on my dog. There's lightning storms and all this stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
And that herb is so magical, so medicinal. It's so effective in helping the nervous system shift from that sympathetic dominance and get back into. So it literally works as an adaptation. It helps you adapt to the environment. So 2 things on this clinical insight. 1, you have to practice health. Like it doesn't like this, that's why we call it the practice. It is a practice of health, especially if you're dealing with something like anxiety. Give yourself the gift of practice and get really good at knowing what tools work for you and what to expect from their body. Once you're already triggered trying to use them, sometimes they're not going to be fast enough. The impact won't be fast enough, and you lose confidence in them. And then your spiral goes deeper. Yes. Yeah. And then for everyone out there that does not have anxiety and doesn't know anything about it, or has never felt it in their life, I would just suggest that maybe if you know someone in your life that does deal with it, talk to them about the tools out there and be a little bit more compassionate, because if you get frustrated with them while they're having anxiety, you're making
it doesn't make it better.
You're making it worse. Yeah.
It doesn't make it better at all. Is there anybody who can't take kava and ashwagandha? Is it? No, I think generally.
I do think it's important that you do check with your provider. There are certain situations. Ashwagandha, I don't really know of many situations. Kava, I probably don't. I typically don't give kava to my pregnant mommies when when they're pregnant. I'll give it to them if they're nursing. I'm okay with that. But I don't give it when they're pregnant. I was trying to think clinically. That's probably the only times I don't apply it. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. No, I think having the tools in advance can definitely help, right? And there are things like I know for me, whenever I've had anxiety, like what I've eaten, how clean my diet is, just has a big impact on how well I can deal with things as well. Like you don't think so, but that always had a really big impact on that.
Yeah. I find a lot of people that have come to terms and are able to say, listen, I have anxiety, are pretty aware of their food relationships, especially like caffeines and coffee and sugar. I feel like people have got that part of it most of the time pretty dialed in. It's tools and the foundations that they can set up to use when they're in the middle, when they're bottom of the ninth or 3 guys on, they're ready to, knock this thing out of the park.
You're in a spiral.
Yeah. It's having the tools in place and practicing with those tools. So I literally mean like take kava when you don't have anxiety. That's what I'm saying. Take the ashwagandha when you don't have it. So you have an expectation. So you don't have any fear or worry about it. Yeah. Literally you're like, oh, I take this. And literally if you've never used kava before, it's like fun. I don't drink alcohol and stuff. So like I can take, a couple, 2, 3, sometimes 4. And literally it's almost like my whole body just kind of like melts away. It works a little bit like a muscle relaxer. It's nice.
I love that. Awesome. Very cool. All right. Well, there's some good tools for anxiety for sure. And I think it's good to talk about because it is super common and people don't, if you've never experienced it, it's very difficult to deal with when somebody's in a moment.
Yes. And that's why, again, foundations of practicing the tools that especially if you are familiar or that you have been down that road before.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, should we dive into these biohacks?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's dive in. And I think I'll preface this is about that these biohacks, really, they're foundations. Okay. And these are foundations that help us in a very, very simple way become the best version of ourselves and get as close to superhuman as possible. Mm-hmm. Dial these in, you're in good shape. The second part of that, I would say, is stacking. And we've talked a little bit about stacking. And that's one of my favorite terms when it comes to health. Stacking. You're drinking good water this week. You're eating cleaner food next week. You're getting a little exercise. Stack your good habits. Look at a couple of them. Get them down and practice them so much to become part of your habits. And then grab another one and stack that on top of it. This list I'm going to give you today, you could knock this out in a week and make it regular because it's not necessarily time dependent. It's just subtleties of action. So I'm excited to share this with you. As I was writing this up, it also was a reminder for me. There's a couple in here that literally move the needle, which is pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And I love that. I mean, that they are. They're all doable. We just need to actually do them. Like they don't take that long. We just need to have a reminder that they.
Yeah. And that's kind of what they
schedule them in.
Yeah, that's what this is almost today. I know we just keep on like teasing and not getting to it yet.
I know. Let's give them the first one.
Yeah,
then.
All right, let's go.
What's number one?
We're gonna start, and to some degree, there's a little bit of order to these as well as I'm going to go through them some degree. First thing is watch the sun come up.
Okay.
Yeah, watch the sun come up.
Yeah. So wake up as the sun's getting up, really.
Wake up ideally a couple of minutes before and either look out your window and watch the sun come up or preferably go outside and literally with your eyes, watch the sun come up.
Is it the same if you're watching it like through a window to being outside?
No, but I know everyone won't do it. That's a good place to start though, because by watching it come up, you'll want to go outside and watch it because you won't be able to see it. You'll be like looking up underneath a window.
Yeah. Yeah.
So preferably like in an ideal world, you went outside barefooted on the ground and did some grounding as you watch the sun up. So I want to add some value to this. So we've talked a lot on this show about circadian rhythm and your own personal circadian clock. And really what that means by being in tune. So what it does is helps you get a circadian rhythm going. It means you have a body clock. And by getting up and seeing the sun, you will almost immediately start getting better in tune with when you should go to bed.
Yeah.
Not because you're busy, but you'll get a sense for, man, like you'll just intuitively, and that's your body clock. You'll also have a better rhythm with appetite, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
One of the biggest benefits in today's world is by getting up in the morning using sunlight instead of blue light. Huge. Absolutely huge. And what that'll do, it'll set things like your melatonin cycle. So as we've discussed here on the show before, when we use blue light phones at night, we shut off the pineal's intention of producing and releasing melatonin. So now our sleep cycle is all messed up. Yeah. So you want to get things back in rhythm. You just want to get in line with nature. You want to get your own body clock, become more intuitive, allow yourself to get up and watch the sun come up.
I love it.
Yeah. I've never really been a fan when they switched the clocks. We just did that here.
Yeah.
The only advantage I have is that now it's easy for me to watch the sun come up because it's dark in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So when I get up,
because you switched it back. Yeah.
Later. So I don't know if we call it rolled back or push forward. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. No.
Either way, whatever it is, it's darker in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's very easy for me to get up and kind of get in my rhythm. And there's one or two other things here I'm going to share. And then I get to see the sun come up, which it sets the day up pretty good. It's pretty nice.
It's a pretty nice way to start the day. How long do you spend out there? Like, how long would you say, like if we're trying, how long are you watching? I would say
it's under a 10-minute cycle because my timing is really good now when I know, and it's starting to creep up, and I literally get my eyes conditioned on doing it. So we're talking about mood elevation. It sets the stage for hormones of the body for the day. The difference between watching the sun come up and looking at your phone, the stage that it sets for personal hormones, significant, Karen, significant. And everyone's running around thinking they have low this and high this and whatnot. We're not giving our body clock an opportunity to really, strike a pose, really, to do its best job and to be noticed for that matter.
Yeah. Okay. And what about, if you're finding this challenging to do every day, is it still worth it to do it a couple of days a week?
Every day you do it, it's a benefit. And that's the beauty of this.
Yeah.
Every single day that you do it. And maybe you log or journal and recognize the days that you do it versus the days that you don't do it.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I find myself, like, today was a kind of an overcast day and the sun, like, it didn't come up.
Yeah.
And it was just something about my eyes. Like it didn't set the stage. I'm going to go as far as, I don't know if it's not making my eyesight better.
Oh, to be out there in the morning?
Yeah. And I don't know if it's just because it's a switch off from me potentially sitting in my living room on my phone.
Yeah.
Because I have a morning routine, which I do my exercise and stuff like that. And I like to do some of it outside, but sometimes it's not outside. So I don't know. Sometimes it's this setting the stage, which is so important for so many different things. You set the stage with this. It's so simple. And here's the other part of it too, just to kind of like scratch our heads and say, well, this doesn't seem like any like new rocket science. No, it's the old rocket science. What humans have been doing for tens of thousands of years, waking up with the sun.
Yeah.
It's so built within our DNA that it gives us an opportunity to get back to understanding and listening to our own body clock.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. I love it. I mean, it sounds like a lovely way to start the day. I don't do that one. I'll need to make sure I have a think about how to add that in, because I like it. I agree. It's a nice way to start. So what do we do next?
Well, the next could have been actually the first, and that would be the first thing in the morning. Drink a glass of water.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone listening to this has heard that before. I don't know if everyone does it. And this glass of water is going to happen before your coffee, before anything, even before your celery juice. Make this happen first. Why? There's many reasons why, but the biggest one I'm going to tell you is that your liver works basically from about 1 o'clock until 4 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock to 3, 1 o'clock to 4. And it's going to work. Like, it's trying to detox all the stuff. Even if you're eating clean foods, it's trying to get rid of the debris. It's trying to get rid of, everything that your body can't utilize. And in the morning, it wants to get things out. We should eliminate properly and we should urinate properly. And then we have to replenish immediately, because then your body does not have the hydration to flow. And the first one that feels the impact of not having enough hydration is your liver.
Yeah.
And the liver is the mother of our chi. It is the one that supplies all the other meridians or the body parts with its life force. That's what we call chi. So if your liver starts off like, oh my goodness, here we go again, like you're working backwards. So the beauty of that simple glass of water in the morning, that you're supporting your liver, you're getting toxins out of the body. it's the first thing to get your lymphatics to move. So we have, of course, like our normal, circulatory system, but you have lymph, it's this entire lymph system in your body. And there's only two things that make the lymph move. And that's going to be essentially water and movement. So we can do it through breath as well. But if you use water, your lymphatics start to flush. And that's where we start to get rid of all the bad guys. Like we're getting rid of everything your body's killed off during the day before. So we're getting rid of bacteria, we're getting rid of viruses, we're getting rid of all that crap. So simple glass of water in the morning, powerful, powerful. You can take that to the next level. And I said that you wouldn't have to add anything, but a little lemon in that, fantastic. One hack that I kind of use, and I guess I'm calling it a hack. When you do urinate in the morning and when you do eliminate in the morning, you also become depleted in minerals. So that is where I said I wasn't going to say anything about supplements, but that is where I take my first supplement of the day. I just use a little bit of a trace mineral, which if you had a water that had, still had a serious, just a higher level of, elements in it that had a higher level of minerals, that would be really good as well. Often I'll show you guys, I drink this water, Mountain Spring. Okay. They have a lot of dissolved minerals and those are good. So we want there to be like magnesium and calcium in our water. But I use a couple of different, I use like 2 little trace minerals in the morning to help restore what I know has been used up and depleted through the course of the night.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I feel like I feel like water in the morning. Like I almost can't skip this one for me. Like after you drink, like I have to have water first thing.
Well, it's very intuitive to want to use water first thing in the morning because you're going to enhance the detox effects. Yeah. So those first two we just talked about right there. If you wake up and see the sun every day, one of the things too, it sets the body up. So we're balancing hormones and we're detoxifying. And that's steps 1 and 2. Yeah.
And all we've done is drink water and step outside.
That's it.
Maybe take a couple of
maybe wouldn't even be required, but those are nice additions. If you're looking for just foundation stuff, awesome. If you want to just kind of take it to that next level, those are good ones as well.
And which ones do you take? The trace minerals from Santa Prospect?
I use ones called Trace Minerals B12. And so remember, trace minerals are a little bit different than our vitamins, and where we're talking about things like copper and selenium and even iron for that matter, but on a trace mineral level. So these are the foundations. And without trace minerals, your body won't do a good job at absorbing vitamins. And then of course your micro and macros. So very, very foundational, kind of not sexy. Yeah. If you're depleted in them, especially your things like your thyroid gland, very, very difficult for to get optimal function of anything in the body without having trace minerals. And again, both our trace minerals and our vitamins are so depleted in our soil. That's where the big problem lies.
Yeah. Okay. And you can take those trace minerals on an empty stomach. Like it's fine just to.
Absolutely. It's essentially like eating dirt.
Sounds amazing.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So we have woken up, we're having our water. We're going to watch the sun come up. What do we do next?
So the next one is, and I don't know if this fits in timing wise, but we're not going to, no snacking.
Okay. Yeah. Now, a lot of people think snacking is like healthy, or they say, I am a snacker. That's just how I like to eat.
Yeah. So here's a couple reasons. I'm going to say, So I'm going to say a couple of reasons about snacks. So one, if you have let's just say we have 3 meals or 2 meals, maybe you do a little intermittent fasting. And the reason I'm going to say no snacking is there's a couple of benefits that we forget about. One, it's going to establish mental discipline. Yeah. The majority of reasons we snack is to change how we feel in the moment.
Yes.
That's why we
so true. Yeah.
So by not snacking.
For me, I'm tired. That's what I feel like snacking.
Yeah, 100 isn't, and it's crazy, right? So I find myself like a bottomless pit when I'm tired.
Yeah, it's like the main time. The rest of the time I don't feel like snacking, but if I'm really I'm just probably need to do that, wake up in the morning and then get the sleep, sorted, then I'm always snacking if I'm tired.
Yeah. So that right there, by not snacking, one of my favorite parts is the mental discipline that it starts to create for us, where we really start to, develop a little bit of fortitude. We say no when our body was kind of saying yes. And we move through that. And then the other part too, Karen, and as much as we've talked about, I'm a big fan of time restricted eating or intermittent fasting. The timeout time is when we heal. We don't give our bodies enough time, enough opportunity to just listen. We're working it in so many different angles. How about just giving it a break for a little bit so it has an opportunity to replenish and rebuild? So that the idea of just no snacking, some people say I'm a snacker. I've always been a snacker, most likely. And I get that. My wife would have told you in the past, I never ate a big meal because I was always eating.
Yeah. Okay. And now not a snacker?
No, not a snacker. I block eat is really what I would say. So I do practice a fair amount of time restricted eating, or intermittent fasting. So, which for me, I'm real comfortable anywhere between 16 and 20 hours. And I'll do that several times a day, several times a week. And then I have my block. So I usually come home, and I guess you'd call it a snack. It's a really, really small meal because I simply can't eat something big. And then like tonight, I don't really time it anymore, but I'm guessing my fast was probably 19 hours today. Okay. And then I did have a little bit of a snack when we got home, and then we ate, a big salad, and, what we have today it was chicken and salad, and just, and it was good. It was just literally amazing. I was in heaven, and that's it. I'll be done. I might do literally, when I think about it, when I'm done here, I'll probably
peanut butter bowl. No,
I've been cutting back, but they have re-entered my life. Yes.
Okay.
But I'll do like, some, I'll probably do some more like roast beef or something. I know something like that. That'll just kind of like a fat and protein. So that snacking is a good discipline. And I get the other part of it because I was a snacker all the time, and it never let my gut heal. And that's, gut healing that's what it's all about. And we're going to do another show on some gut healing because there's just so much more we can cover on that. Yeah. Given an opportunity to heal, that is one of the powers of the not snacking. Again, it doesn't cost us anything. And every time you do it, every time you think you had to do it and you hold back and you're like, I don't need that right now. And how do you know you don't need it? Because you just ate 3-4 hours ago.
Yeah.
That's how you know.
Yeah.
So you're not lacking food. You're having an emotional situation that's triggered your body to want to feel differently. Maybe you have some stress, maybe you have some deadlines to work with, maybe you are fatigued, but you don't like how you feel, so you want to shift it. You typically shift it by giving it something yummy, something a little bit sweet, right? A simple carbohydrate, and it doesn't take much. You get a little dopamine push, no different than a drug addict does. You just get a little push here, makes you feel better, and then you're just kind of like, you just kind of float along until the next snack. And it's very, very similar. And I've had some people say, well, I have low blood sugar. I don't see it clinically that frequently. Yeah. I understand the blood sugar goes low on occasion, and it's because you're going from carbohydrate to carbohydrate, and you burn that carbohydrate completely out, and now you got nothing, and you're not fat adaptive. So just because you've had, or someone, maybe your doctor's told you, well, you have low blood sugar, you got to keep eating, maybe a new visit or reconsider kind of the approach toward that, because eating all the time is certainly one of the strategies that isn't necessarily for longevity.
Yeah. And what about, what you eat for those meals? I know for me makes it easier or harder for me to want a snack. Because I prefer not to snack. Most of the time I don't snack. I also just find I just don't have time to, I don't know. I don't actually want to spend time eating 6 times a day. But depending on what I have for those meals, depends on how much I feel like snacking.
Yeah, well, it's real simple, Karen. If you eat something like a simple carbohydrate, say a piece of bread or a cracker or a muffin or a cookie or something like that, you speed up how fast you're going to get sugar into the bloodstream, which gives you a nice bump, right? And our brains are on fire. We're like, oh, this is awesome. Faster goes up, faster drops. Yeah. So therefore you need to go back. And so that's what happens, where if that snack or if that meal, if you're incorporating fats and proteins and they're not converted that fast into sugar into your bloodstream, so you get to sustain it. And that was where years ago, there was that trail mix. and there were nuts, and there was a little cacao in there, a natural source of, almost like a chocolate, but it was really because it was magnesium and some zinc, and there's some other good things in there. That, and the nuts were, they're sustainable fat protein. We took a little bit to break them down, and then you could sustain that for a period of time. But eating, 5 or 6 almonds every couple minutes, that too wasn't the goal. That wasn't the idea.
Yeah, sure. We got a comment here. What are you going to be eating your roast beef with tonight?
Yeah, so I typically will eat that, and this might surprise some, but I'll do it with a little bit of like organic cheese.
Okay, roast beef and cheese.
Yeah, talk about heaven. So I think people often, like, I don't know, well, people say to be in clinic to be like, isn't it boring eating healthy all the time? No, like I love my diet. I literally love it. Like over the weekend, we had burgers. This time the burgers had liver and heart in them. They were amazing. Wow. Yeah, so it was like 70% grass-fed beef with heart and liver. Amazing burgers. My wife whipped it up with like some other stuff. I thought it was just in heaven, really. And then, we had chicken wings one night, and then I'll snack on things like roast beef and cheese, and I'll do, organic, roast beef with an organic grass-fed cheese as well. So, yeah, I like my diet. I couldn't imagine it any other way, because sugar right now has such a negative impact on my body, especially the way my brain works. I like being sharp. I like being, acute with my brain, and I can be on sugar, but the moment it drops, I tank.
Yeah. I'm a bit the same. And I think also you get used to that. Like what boring is perceptive, like having, I don't know, like McDonald's or like the takeaway gets boring. Half the time, sometimes I don't want to cook. I want to order something and I don't know what to do. I end up making something because I'm like, oh no, I don't feel like any of that other stuff. So boring can be depending on what you get used to.
Yeah. And I think the more we get back to, eating clean in God's garden, you find out that there's some amazing, amazing flavors out there. These are things if my mom could see me now, that's all I can say. She'd be like, you kidding me? Like because I was a kid. I didn't eat vegetables. And that was me.
Wow.
I complained about every food. If it wasn't a burger or pizza or pasta or something, I was complaining.
Yeah, there you go. There's hope for all those moms out there that do have maybe a little boy who won't eat their vegetables. Mm-hmm. There's hope for them.
There's hope for me as well. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So we have watch the sun come up, water first thing with minerals or lemon. We're not snacking. What's our number 4? All
right. Number 4 is practicing nose breathing at least 3 minutes a day.
Yeah. All right. Talk about this one. Why?
Well, here's one of the simplest reasons why. Our nose is a filter.
Yeah. And when you mean that, are you talking about like doing any crazy things with your nose, or you're just talking about making sure that your mouth is shut and you're actually breathing through your nose? Mouth
shut, breathe through your nose.
Okay.
Got to practice it. It literally has to practice. Most people are mouth breathers. Everyone has asthma is a mouth breather. If you snore, you're a mouth breather. So there's so many things that are cured on their own, like asthma, like snoring, is as you learn how to breathe through your nose again. But you got to open up that passageway. So one of the things I ride on I have a stationary bike I ride in the morning. It's kind of like it's not a Peloton, but it's kind of like one of those, right? It's just a stationary spin bike.
Yeah.
And I try to do my best to see how long I can last, even though I'm, gaining speed and getting up and down on my bike, just through my nose.
Okay.
And I'm blown away. When I first started doing that, I was blown away how little I couldn't do it. By practicing, you can do it. And it's amazing what happens to just like your mental clarity, your immune system, you're clearing things out for your lungs. So it is literally a filter. So the amount of the oxygen that goes into the human body from breathing through your nose versus your mouth is significantly different.
Yeah. Why are we all mouth breathers?
Most of the time it's a result of being inflamed.
Okay.
So we get inflamed, your body releases histamine, and then it closes up the passageway in the sinuses. Follow me. So drink a glass of wine at night or whatever. I'm not picking on wine, but you eat a bowl of ice cream, drink some wine at night, have a heavy meal, pasta, go out, eat. At home, you get inflamed. You're lying there and your liver goes, oh, what am I going to do here? And the body releases histamine.
Okay.
And that histamine then goes and it often will get stored. It grabs the bad guys and it stores it in your sinus cavities. And that subtlety is happening 24/7 for people. They're always in that state of inflammation. Could be gluten, could be the effects of glyphosate, it could be the effects of, high blood sugars, carbohydrates, pasta, milk, all of this stuff. Dairy is a huge one to create mouth breathing. So, in that whole sleep apnea, and then they'll do a study, you're not sleeping at night because you're not breathing properly. Then they make you put on a pure oxygen mask and sleep with it. How unnatural is that? And listen, I get it. Some people will say to me, "Oh my God, I do it now. I sleep with my sleep app, my mask on, and I can't believe my sleeping scores have gotten so much better. Like that was the holy grail." No, that was a parachute that just saved your life. And it doesn't get created. We cause those things to happen. And how do I know that? Anyone out there that's practicing functional medicine and working on getting to the root causes of things. When we hear, my husband started snoring and he's been snoring for the last 5 years. He's inflamed.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't care if he's overweight or not, but he's inflamed and that's what's going on there. So, nose breathing, 3 minutes a day, whatever it takes. You might have to sit still just through your nose, get to clear things out.
Okay.
More balance you can do it, the better. The other breath that you're talking about, yes. Do I do all those? Unbelievable effects when you start to use different, alternate nostril breathing, different, these fire breaths and stuff like that, all through your nose. Unbelievable the effects of the physiological change you could have on the body. I probably should have my wife talk about this part. When we do these things in yoga, we can go from literally just like your body's kind of like cold and tired. Next thing you know, you're doing these breathing exercises and it's like you just ran like you ran sprints. You're like, your body's all pumped up, blood is flowing, hormones are flying, like you're good to go simply using breathing techniques, which is pretty darn cool.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. I love this one. It's a good reminder because I've heard it before and I always breathe through my mouth. And so taking that time to practice it, to be able to build it up, I guess, to where you breathe more naturally through your nose.
Before we move on to the next one of the other significant benefits of nose breathing is that it helps you shift from being stuck in a sympathetic tone into parasympathetic activity. And that's huge. So we're really going from, fight or flight into rest and digest. So again, if we're talking about helping our bodies, some of the biggest challenges we have, in health, right, is things like sleeping, is hormones. And we're covering several right now that are the foundations of really setting the tone for us to just let these things happen naturally in our body.
Yeah. Love that. Awesome. All right. What is our number 5?
This is going to seem like a no-brainer, yet I want to dig, pull this part a little bit. It's
even if they're no-brainers though, do we do them?
Yeah.
That's the question. Each one of these I keep thinking, no-brainer. I know this. Do I do it?
Okay. So this one is to move daily.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
and what do we mean by that? What are you even talking about? Do we have to are we hitting CrossFit?
We could be. Okay. So let me unpack this in a different way. Uh-huh. Right now, the average human sits for 10 hours a day.
Isn't that mind-blowing?
Mind-boggling because, being a chiropractor, there's one thing we know about the human spine. It's not designed to sit. If you want to degenerate and damage a human spine, go ahead and tuck the pelvis and sit on the sacrum and put your head forward. Like that is how you literally just break down your nervous system and your spine. So unraveling that a little bit. So I'm inevitably people argue me on this point. They go, no, I don't sit that much. All right. And we're talking about all sitting. Your desk counts. Your car counts.
Yeah.
Sitting in front of a Zoom call counts.
Yeah.
The dinner table counts. The 3-hour movie you watched counts. Okay.
If you're sitting in your bed, but like half laying, that still counts.
Yeah. So the 10 hours, I think is probably conservative. Now, here's a study out of Sydney, nonetheless.
Okay.
It's pretty fascinating. Done a couple of years ago. This is crazy. For individuals that sit 11 hours or more a day, relative to people who sit 4 hours or less per day, in the next 3 years have a 40% more chance of dying.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? I have heard stats like that, not the exact numbers, but yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, so it is crazy. But it makes perfect sense. There's nothing about the human body that was designed. We're nomadic. We're designed to move. Everything about our body, all the bones and joints in our little feet and our toes, like they're designed to grip the earth and push and pull and get us moving. Our mechanics are unbelievable. We try to replicate them in every machine that's out there to try to replicate how does a shoulder do this and all these different movements. We are designed to get up and move our bodies and be strong. And when it's time to sit, malasana, or what we kind of the squatting posture, that is normal mechanics. I'm going to say 85% of people cannot sit in full, what we call malasana, which is a full out squat. Like, with really your butt almost touching the ground, where the back of your calves are touching your hamstring and your toes and your heels are on the ground. So that is a natural sitting posture that's very easy for the mechanics in the body. So get up and move. So now I'm going to take this to another level. I'm saying you got to move twice a day.
Okay.
2 different times. And what does that look? One of the things that I don't, and this could have been my clinical insight today, because I had many conversations about walking. Walking is phenomenal. And that's what humans do. That's what we're really built for, is walking. If we're just walking, we can go for miles upon miles upon miles. And I have a lot of people 40, 50, 60, 70 years old that are putting 4+ miles a day, which is fantastic. It's literally fantastic, which means that if you're walking 4 miles a day, you're walking over an hour, which is fantastic. If you can go out and do an activity for an hour plus, it's a good health habit.
Yeah.
It's good health. Now, with that, Karen, I'm going to suggest this. Probably not always with like your phone and all of those things that we're doing.
How about a dog?
Beautiful. Yeah.
Right.
So
you want to walk for an hour a day?
Yeah. And if you're local, and if you're local, I'm renting dogs by the hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can supply the whole community.
I bet you are. And don't worry, guys, he's got enough for all of you. So if you all want to book in at the same time, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. So don't underestimate the power of walking. So sometimes I see people, they'll be like, yeah, all I did today was walk. I'm like, tell you what, that could have been the best thing you do. You get good microcirculation, you get to be, connected with the earth and go outside. And that's the beauty of it. So a lot of times, if you're just on a spin bike or a Peloton, love them. Listen, it's all good. It's not very connective, quite frankly, but it is using your body. You're having other metabolic advances there. You're having opportunities to, push the body, put a little duress in there, a little, natural hormesis. Love all those things. Don't underestimate the power of walking. My wife and I, over the weekend, we've been super active, working on the property and whatnot. And so it's not uncommon. Like our benchmark now is 20,000 steps a day. And
and I love having that step, like having that, because it can be really, the sitting for 4 hours, but it can just give you a reminder. I know for me, I have definitely had days where, I've sat, I've had meetings or worked at the computer far too long. And then I look at it, I don't have it on today, but I look at it and it says something, ridiculous. It'll be 3:00 in the afternoon. And it says like 1,600 steps. And I'm like, oh my God, girl, you got to get up now. Like it's a good reminder, because it shows you, it's data to show you have been sitting too long.
Yeah. And that reminds me, we're going to do a show on all my favorite wearables and all that good stuff. But anyways, I agree 100%. I look at mine. So I use an Oura ring, and I'm like, I look every day what my activity levels are. And listen, some are better than others at tracking them, but it doesn't matter. Just use the same one. Just use whatever you're using.
Even if you use the cheapest Fitbit, it's more like a reminder, like, because when I've got it on, it just makes me aware. I think what you're saying, people are like, oh, I don't sit that much. But if you wear it, then you realize how much you're sitting. Like you get a bit of a like, oh my gosh, time to get up. Like you haven't moved today.
Yeah. And again, it's not to be obsessed with like, I need 40 minutes of cardio to, achieve, this or that. It's really about being in tune with our bodies.
Yeah.
clinically today, I'll just another, and we'll move on to the next one. Young lady was in, 2 kids, single mom, and she just got done a ski trip and then played tennis for the first time. And then where's she going today? And I know she does Pilates and does some yoga. And I was having this conversation because she was like, yeah, like I got to, like kind of implying she needed to like be able to get a little fitter or better. And I said, listen, do you just understand what you just told me? You can basically, you're a CrossFit athlete. You can do anything.
You can ski, you can play tennis, you can Pilates, you can stretch.
Like how amazing is that? To be able to use your body in all capacities. Isn't that really the goal?
Yeah.
And that's the advantage of moving your body several times a day. So literally it might be out, picking weeds. It might be out taking a dog for a walk. It might be taking a run or a walk. And the more I think we can lean toward, and I get efficiency at times requires us to do it on a Peloton bike. And listen, I love it. I love the idea that we lost the excuse. I couldn't make it to the gym. Do it at home. The gym came to you. Like, beautiful. Absolutely love it. Yeah. Let's get outside. That's where we're supposed to be active. That's where we get to put the, when the rubber hits the road, where we literally get to use our body for hours upon hours, maybe out in the yard, do some yard work. I don't even think we've mentioned it, but another great way of building your microbiome is picking weeds. Simply because the microbiome of the earth comes up every time you pick, a weed, and then you breathe it in and it feeds your microbiome. So get outside and pick the weeds and stop using that glyphosate crap in your yard.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I love that you can do household things, or, my grandma, she's going to be 99 in a couple of months. Yeah. And she's super active, but never been on a spin bike, never, I was going to say never done a gym class, but where she lives down the road, they've got a gentle gym now, where she goes outside with a bunch of other ladies and does some gentle, does some exercises. But besides that, it's probably the first time she's ever done an exercise class in her life. But does she sit? Like, never. I mean, she's 99 and she's like literally, she's like 4'10" or something. She's tiny, and she'll get big queen mattresses and flip them over, like, every couple of days, like just does things all the time. And she'll say the same thing, just that she's always moving. She's just never sitting.
Which is perfect. And that's probably why she's 99 as well.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. And bright, like 99 and sharp as anything. There is, she's probably as sharp in her mind anyway. She's a little slower, but sharp in her mind as she was at, 30.
Nice. Love it. All right. So the next one is one that I would say on this list, this is probably one of the ones that are doing the least. And yet I would probably tell you that could equally have as great or better impact than anyone. And that is to compliment and edify people every day. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to go farther. Practice every single conversation you have with another human being to compliment or edify them in that conversation.
Yeah. It's amazing. That's probably my favorite one. And you're right. People don't do it enough.
Yeah. This would make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And when you are spreading love, you put yourself in that position because there's tension. And so what do I mean by that? Like complimenting, and make it real. Like, look at someone, look for the goodness, right? Like, look for something, be like, oh, those earrings look good on you, Karen. So something subtle that I had to intentionally look at you instead of just like already be ready for the next sentence and the next conversation. Where if we practice this and seeing the kindness and the goodness in other people, I think we would be blown away how really it's all around us. Yeah. We're just 100%. So we have a unique situation going on in our community right now where spring break.
Oh yeah.
And it's chaotic. There's no doubt about it. And, we have traffic, and the truth of the matter is that these kids are here having memories. Yeah. And listen, in every situation, there's outliers. Yeah. There's thousands and thousands of kids here, and thousands of them are just having a ton of fun. And I tell you what, I was one of them. Like, that was me all day long, every day. Like during spring break, I was doing it. We tend to lean to the moment things aren't convenient for us to really kind of downplay it. And it in my subtle observation, especially clinically, this is about capacity. where if everything that doesn't fall in line for us and it shakes us, it rocks us, all of a sudden now we have to speak badly about it. We literally create a gossip stream for it. And, this and that, we'll see the traffic and this happened, and we pass on that negativity. Then really that speaks to our own personal capacity on how strong we are as human beings, the kind of fortitude that we have as individuals. So, and again, if we are not practicing the other part of it, Karen, in the moment of the shit going down, we're not good. We're not good. We can't see like a pack of 100 kids, can't see 99 of them having fun, smiles, they're out there flirting with each other, just having fun. We don't see it because we're not practicing it.
Yeah. We're just frustrated at the bit that's inconvenient for us.
Yeah. And that same thing right there, like I'm just kind of saying what's taking place in our community now, but that's everything. That's no different. You're at your workplace and something, if you're not practicing, seeing and finding the good in situations, the moment the smallest thing goes wrong, you lose your stuff. You're lost. Like you are now an emotional basket case because you don't practice. It's no different when I started this, the clinical insight this evening, talking about, hey, listen, if you know something's potential coming, you have to put the tools in place to practice. So if you start practicing giving, and now the selfish part of giving compliments and edification all day long is that you're going to get a ton back.
Yeah. And totally. And if you see somebody who, even if, it's somebody in a shop or someone you don't know has done something well, you don't know how many, like they may have almost never received a compliment. We had somebody recently join our team, and I know that's a workplace situation, but still, the other day she shared on our team meeting that literally she felt like she'd done this amazing job. She's a graphic designer and she's just been rocking it. And so me and a few members of our team have all been giving her like compliments this week, being like, oh my God, that's amazing, blah, blah. And she then shared on the team meeting that she's literally never had a job. She's like, felt like she'd never had a job where anybody had ever said something good that she'd done, which is really sad that you've like never, like some people have never had a compliment almost.
Yeah, it
sounds
is
weird, but some people haven't.
I hope all my business owners just heard that we got to make sure that we're edifying. I'm listening right now. So like we have to edify and compliment as much as we may correct or instruct.
Because also, even as a business owner, that person's not that we did it for this. She just really did. She did an amazing job, but like that person's going to want to keep doing an amazing job, right? Yeah. I do. Like if someone says that to me, I want to keep doing an amazing job. Works for us.
It's contagious.
Right?
Yeah. And that's when we talk about spreading the love, that it is contagious. That part of it is absolutely contagious. All right. We got to dive into the last two.
Yeah. Okay. Give us the next one.
Number 7, eat real food.
Okay.
Yeah. So it shouldn't be on the biohack list, yet it's on it.
Yeah, because again, simple, but do we do it every day?
Yeah, and the mouth, the needle will move for most people. If you're not already eating 100% real food and you start eating it, your body's going to have a dance every day saying, thank you for not polluting me. Thank you for not putting toxins into my body. So there's no getting around this one. There's no super expensive biohack machine that you can buy that allows you to bypass what you're putting into the system. So eat real food. Can't say it enough. And then certainly not last, and certainly not last but not least, is a real simple practice about using hot and cold.
Yeah. See, this one's always my least favorite. Give it to us. What do we need to do?
All right. This is one of the scenarios, Karen, where in the beginning, like you were talking about, you think you have to buy these certain things, or maybe you have to buy a tub and fill it with ice every day. And you have to do a cold plunge. No. Okay. You don't have to do that. You literally just have to have a dynamic. Have a nice warm shower, finish with cold water. Okay. That is an amazing source of practicing hormesis, which is intentionally inducing stress into the body. So that's a great hot cold. Maybe you don't want to do a full shower. How about this? Start your morning with just splashing super cold water on your face.
Okay. Yeah.
Super effective. And especially if you have been a little bit inflamed and maybe you have some histamine, your sinuses are a little bit backed up. So the hot cold therapy has been practiced for literally thousands and thousands of years. And just now do we have where we can go down and buy a bag of ice, put it in this very specific type of round, like tub or something like that. So I'm fortunate enough to have a pool. No, it's not an ice bath, but I've started to jump into it. No, it's not warm. But the contrast, the contrast is the effectiveness. And, if we got really scientific, I'm sure there's a paper that says it needs to be, at 31.72 degrees to affect, thermogenesis, whatever. It doesn't matter. We're just trying to practice normal things or very simple and available things that help us enhance our overall, potential as human beings, and naturally in kind of enhancing the hormesis of hot shower, finish cold, and talk about refreshers. I don't look forward to it. That I do not. I don't even pretend it. But once I do it, it removes the fear.
Wakes you up.
It all wakes me up. I've never done it and said, man, I feel worse now. Never.
Yeah. So none of these things we've gone through tonight, you're going to think, I feel worse after doing it.
Yeah, no. I don't think anyone that passes out a compliment or drinks a glass of water in the morning or watches the sunrise, I don't think any one of those individuals are going to feel worse off.
No, and I love it. I mean, what a list! If you could even have one day where you did do all 8, like you would feel amazing.
Yeah, and the total time consumption outside of the movement part, you're only talking about a couple minutes.
Yeah, totally. And the movement bit, really, I mean, how about even if you are working at a job where you're sitting for 8 hours, making sure that you're getting up all the time, go and do something, take a walking meeting, see if you can take the stairs.
It's a must. And those are the great little hacks within the hacks, that you park your car in the farthest one back, not the closest one, the farthest one back. If there's stairs available, and you put a benchmark, my wife and I have always had it where if it's under 3 flights, we're walking. After that, we'll have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
So if we go into a hotel and first, second, third floor, we're walking. It's inconvenient, but you know what? It's one of the simplest things you can do, and a pleasure if you have the ability to do it.
And you want to maintain the ability to do it. I mean, that's actually like, imagine, we're like, oh, we're just going to take the lift or whatever, not take the stairs. Imagine if you couldn't take the stairs. Like, I don't know. I can't imagine not, like, you got to keep doing it if you want to be able to take the stairs.
Yes, 100%. We got to practice those foundations, and we got to let them back into our lives, no doubt.
Yeah, love that. Awesome. All right. Well, we're almost out of time. So what's going to be our one action item that our listeners take to move them towards their goal of becoming superhuman?
Practice the foundations. It's really that simple. So don't overlook the opportunities that we have every day. And that's really it. Don't overlook the opportunities. Maybe it's parking farther back to take a longer walk into the store. Maybe it's walking up a flight of stairs. Maybe you're in the airport, you don't take the train, you literally walk to the next terminal. Whatever that may be, take the opportunity to have a glass of water in the morning, take the opportunity to go outside and watch the sun come up. It's only going to take a couple minutes, right? Take a break in between the meals, like just flex your emotional fitness, your emotional capacity right there. So, and then don't miss out on an opportunity to compliment someone. You never know how far reaching, like you're talking with your staff member, how far reaching that one compliment, maybe you light them up, and then they go give a compliment to someone who just needed it on that day. And that part of spreading the love is so contagious.
I love that so much. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We will be back same time, same place next week for another episode of the Health Made Simple show.
Well, appreciate and love you guys all. So keep doing your thing, keep sharing it out, keep spreading love, and of course, taking deliberate action for your mind, your body, overall wellness. Gotta be awesome.